Well, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, and perhaps even good evening. Thank you so much for dropping by and joining me for another exciting and long overdue episode of 3D Shenanigans. I seem to remember what it was called. Very, very nice to see you. There's lots of people who spontaneously turned up. That is very nice. And happy Father's Day, everyone who is a dad. Chris, are you dad? I don't know. Are you dad? I'm not sure. In which case, happy Father's Day. In anyone who's there, granddad, dad, doesn't matter. Granddad, totally welcome. Very, very cool. Thank you all for dropping by. I decided to do this on a very spontaneous note because I have made something that I thought was interesting. And I'll show you what that is. I had a question today from... Where will I show you this? Here, I'm going to show you the end result first. I think that's a great idea. I had a comment by somebody who said, "Hey, is it possible to bring in HD detail from DAZ Studio into Character Creator or into iClone and render the HD detail somehow?" And I thought, that's an interesting question. I don't actually know because it would require some experimentation. But I did manage to make it work, and this is the result. So this is Mrs. Chow 8 with all her HD details intact. And I thought I picked her because she has a lot of cool wrinkles, and they're all HD sculpted geometry, and that was really, really cool. And that is a proprietary feature inside DAZ Studio, so it's difficult to export them unless you put up with an extremely large file, and that is not good for animation programs like iClone. So I jumped through some hoops and was able to bake those maps onto normal maps, and then take those normal maps, put them into Character Creator, and this is the result. And I thought that was kind of cool. And I don't know if I'm going to do a demo on that, but that's just something I was working on. So this is all still open on my computer. That was just the animation that's compiled, and here she is in live in Character Creator. And that detail is all real. Well, it's real with normal maps, but getting there was not so easy. So what I really had to do was, let me see, how did I do that? I exported the HD mesh from DAZ Studio from the HD version of Mrs. Chow out. And then I also exported an SD version out from here that I then brought into iClone to begin with, or into Character Creator to begin with. So that leaves us with her skin textures in SD, but no HD detail. So for that, I had to go and bake in Substance Painter. Is that still open? Yes, I had to bake the high-res mesh onto the low-res mesh. But the problem was that the UVs are, of course, different after the conversion into Character Creator, because at that point, we're ending up with a different set of UV distribution than we are in DAZ Studio, a native Character Creator character at that point. So that meant I had to match up both poses, the one that came out of Character Creator and the one that came out of DAZ Studio, and make sure they line up. And even though the exact pose lines up, it doesn't match perfectly on things like elbows and stuff. That is where my friend wrap comes in. So this is what I had to do. I had to go and load in the mesh that we get from Character Creator and the SD mesh we get from DAZ Studio, just pose wise, and make sure they line up, and they did not line up. So this is why the baking process didn't work. So wrap made it possible then to wrap the CC mesh, the Character Creator mesh, exactly around the DAZ mesh, which means we end up with something like this, which is the CC mesh, but in the exact position as the mesh the HD mesh that came out of DAZ Studio in the first place. That meant that Substance Painter could bake him, and that meant that I could then extract the normal maps, and that's how I ended up with, HD baked normals. So that's basically, earlier today, this is what happened earlier today. So now I thought, I wonder how this performs inside of Unreal Engine. I mean, now that we have her with HD detail here in iClone, how easy/difficult is it to bring that character out of Character Creator and put her into iClone, I suppose, and then make her walk around inside one of those newfangled Unreal Engine game animation sample projects with the motion matching with 500 plus animations and stuff. So we'll see how that goes. Seb, how's it going? Good to see you. Happy Father's Day, buddy. So that is the premise, 10 minutes later, this is the premise. So I have to sort of refresh my memory because I haven't done this in a while. So I thought I'll do it on stream with y'all, and have a chat with you while we're all hanging out. So I think, wasn't it right? And Brian, if you're here, if you want to help me out, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, bot. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. Was it auto setup? There we go, brush files. I think that's the first thing we want to do, right? In Unreal, there should be two. Okay, so that puts a small damper in the works. We don't have something that works for Unreal Engine 5.4, so we're gonna have to work with 5.3. So live retargeting first of all in 5.3. So that's good to know. That's the auto setup, so we need that. But then there's another thing that we need probably in here, which is the live link. Do we need that as well? I don't recall. Do we need live link? It's not gonna hurt if we have it. So that's good. I think I know what we're doing. I think I can go and close this down. Or maybe I'm going to go and save this just in case I need to come back to this. I'm so glad you're here witnessing all this. So this is Mrs. Chow from CC in HD. There we go. I like it. Save myself some RAM here. Seb, how's it going? How you been? Long time no see. I think I also don't need the wrap anymore. That was just a really simple project. So should we save it? Let's not save it. Let's not even save it. It's fine. We're gonna be okay. This is still saving. That studio, I think we don't need here anymore either right now. So we're going to close that down as well. Yes, that is correct. That was just for the animation, wasn't it? I think it might also be involved somehow in sending animations even if they're not live linked. That's also possible. I think we don't need Premiere anymore either at the moment. Yeah, I don't think so. Photoshop, we might let's just do we leave it? Do we need it? These are the normal maps, by the way, so all that exciting HD detail is still preserved. So I don't think we need that anymore either. So let's go close it. I like it. Perfect. Start with a clean slate and let's go over to Unreal Engine and let's see if we can spin up a brand new 5.3 project perhaps and go integrate those little plugins. Maybe I've already got one here. I think I might have one that's called Live Retarget in 5.3. So I've tried this with DAS characters and that still works really well in 5.3 and 5.4. But let's try this here. Let me go see where that is and then I'll go and copy those plugins in there, which were in here, wasn't it? Yes. Okay, so live link, that's in here. RL live link, so we're going to copy that one in here. That's number one. This is exciting, isn't it? I always like doing these things. It feels like doing something really naughty. And this is also for 5.3. And here we need to have plugins and content. Okay, so let's go put that in here. Whoops. Put that in here first of all. That goes in plugins, and then content thing goes in content. Those are the shaders. Yes, of course. That makes sense. Shaders go into here. Boom, baby. A lot of work, hard work on Unreal lately. Good. Go. That's exciting. And the summer vacation is coming next week. Ooh, how exciting. Oh, Brian, that is exciting. Really? Auto setup in 5.4. Ooh, they just didn't have a chance to put it into 5.3. So should we maybe do that? Let's download that. Brian, thank you for the link. I appreciate that. Also, this is something that needs to be installed. It's an exe, is it? Brian, you're the magic man. We're not even going to do 5.3. We're going to go straight to 5.4. Oh my. This is exciting. Do we have anything open that needs to be closed? I think we're going to be okay, right? Because Character Creator and iClone Auto Setup Wizard is installing stuff. I wonder if that means I should close Character Creator. Thank you. That's awesome, Brian. That's fantastic. Let me go and just save this over here and just close this, because I think for the installation, they probably want this to be closed. I mean, that's what I would be asking for. Oh, let's just quickly read through the EULA here. much like Adobe. We have access to all your content for anything we please, and we want to really sub-license this to everyone else except for you. Thanks, Adobe. That was a bit of a culture shock, wasn't it? Shared plugins. Ah, yes. I see. That's where that's going in. But, you know, let's try that. I haven't opened the hub, Brian. Good point. Updates. There we go. That's probably it. Oh, there's some face tools here. We can totally update that. Part of the product installation process. Reallusion. Fine. Cool. Let's do that. You do everything. That's nice. I will try it, and then we'll just browse to that folder again, see if that's already ready for 5.4. That would be really cool. Yeah, what are your thoughts on this whole Adobe thing? That was a little bit of a shocker. I have a controversial opinion on that, which is as much as that sucks, if we want to use Adobe product, there's probably not much we can do about it. It's a bit of a blasé way of looking at it, I know, but the trouble is I don't really want to do my job without Adobe applications. And that is, of course, completely, there we go, 1.5.4, there we go, that's exciting. Oh, we've got different versions. Look at that. Brian, thank you so much for the link. I appreciate that. Let's just go and use that for our project here. And then we're just going to use the live retargeting for 5.4. So I've copied the plugins into the 5.3 project, which is good. But I also do have here this live retargeting 5.4. This is the one. Let's show me that in the folder. So plugins, we have Dash to Unreal, auto setup, plugins and content. Perfect. So this here, RL plugin, check it out, goes into here. Does it? Yes, it does. I like it. And then we also have a bit of content to go with it. CC shaders. Okay. So that's that. And maybe that thing is also done. The live link plugin. No, that's still on 5.3. So maybe we don't need that. Tricky to know. It's directly from the internet, but I think I did that, didn't I? I've got auto setup. Live link, he says. Oh, really, Brian? The magic link. Appreciate that. Auto setup. No, that's auto setup. I've got auto setup. Oh, it's because this YouTube hasn't quite caught up with your latest link. No, there it is. Auto setup. Live link. There we go. I clicked the wrong link. Sorry about that. Live link. Oh, and that is something that is on the marketplace. Oh, interesting. So we go live link, install to engine. That's got to be it. Install to 5.4. Ha ha ha. Thank you. Thank you so much for working through this with me. I appreciate that. That's just very difficult stuff, isn't it? Spiffy. So now we should be able to launch this. And if everything works well, I should have a live retargeted DAS character running around. That's the plan. I think there's also, let me go and put DS for Windows on here so that we can do all this with my trusty PlayStation controller. It's good to have many things open. Oh my God, all the time and so much stuff to remember. I totally agree. It is insane, isn't it? Just getting basic stuff done. It's just the amount of knowledge you need to bring to just make a great character walk around in an environment. That's crazy, isn't it? I totally agree. It is fun when it works, but the amount of time, the amount of Unreal Engine instances I've spun up just to test one thing and then to realize, it doesn't work, is insane. It's like, time where we're not getting back, man. So we've got this, that's auto setup. I suppose I have to go and enable that plugin here, right? Was it live link? There we go, iClone live link. I really don't know if we need it or not. We'll restart it in a moment. But for now, if I go and walk around, there we go. It's Jamal. Okay, he doesn't have any clothes on, but he's a Genesis 9 character and he's live retargeted. So all his animations work, and that's thanks to live retargeting. And what I really like about live retargeting is that you don't have to retarget any animations before the thing even runs. So that is very cool. So this is already a winner. This is working fine. This is great. And just to remind everyone how I did that, this is the regular third person template. Under third person, under blueprints, we have our BP third person character. And in the viewport, what I've done there is I have the normal mannequin still in here, but she is invisible. So mesh is just that is just the Quinn mesh. And then to her, so I'm making her invisible. And I'm using this here under visibility based anim tick options, that the default is here always tick pose. I'm switching that to always tick pose and refresh born so that this character can walk around. And then I've parented here another skeletal mesh, and that is my DAS mesh. So that's the Genesis 9 mesh I've sent over. I've given it an animation blueprint that uses exactly one node, which is check it out, the retarget pose from mesh. And the only thing that this node needs is the regular Genesis 9 retargeter. So that's the only thing that we need for our Reallusion character now. We need the retargeter asset. And I don't know if they provide that at all, but we're gonna find out. And then we should be able to make our own animation blueprint for that character and pop that in, and then hopefully have Mrs. Chow walking around. That's the plan, right? I think. For that, I think we need to go and send Mrs. Chow over into Unreal Engine to begin with. Let's do that. Mr. Nate, how's it going? Hey, very nice to see you. Welcome, Nate, everybody. Nate's just been back from Lisbon. Big trip to Europe, so that's exciting stuff. So welcome back. I think that means we have to go and open Character Creator up again, don't we? Character Creator, there we go. And we'll see if that works. I think within reason, I think the retargeter takes care of the size, actually, Mr. Manish. I was going to say Mr. Machine at first. So the retargeter can interpolate between different sizes. And in 5.4, we have something like an automation that takes care of that, which is kind of cool. Often also gets it wrong. But with the DAS to Unreal Bridge, we have a retargeter that comes with it. So you don't have to make that yourself. I don't know how that works with the Reallusion character. So we may have to go create our own. But we'll find out. This is part of the excitement. You're about to go back for a quick run with a friend. That is good. I'm glad you get back in the habit. Are you settling back into Canadian time zone already? Or are you still living on the European time zone? I remember it did take me forever to switch over. My first trip when I was in Germany, my first trip over to the US, that was fantastic. That was so good that it took me 3 months to go back on German time back then. And now I'm living here permanently. Haha. Enjoy the run. Okay, so Mrs. Chow with HD detail specially baked for the occasion. What a convoluted workflow that is. Usually you can just go straight from DAZ Studio to Unreal Engine for this. As I've shown in my interestingly blown up video that's enjoyed a lot of success on the YouTube Shorts feed, the little girl with the waffly skirt. Yeah, that was a surprise success. I didn't know it was going to be that successful. Yes, my recent YouTube short. Crazy stuff. So we want to send her over to iClone first, right? And from iClone, we can go and send her into Unreal Engine. That's how this works, right? I think. File export, send to iClone, send to iClone. Send it all, I think. They have, yes, they have indeed. And also the sequencer. So 5.4 has some really, really cool things that are implemented now, including Chaos Cloth. That worked in 5.3, but Chaos Cloth in 5.4, man, we have follower clothing in Unreal Engine. That's really, really cool. That is fantastic. So no longer do we have to merge the clothing into the mesh and deal with that. And when there's poke through, it's all really awkward. We can now go and send a naked character and clothing that is being worn by the character, like we have it in iClone or in DAZ Studio. And that deforms just so much better. There's much less to no poke through issues anymore. And more importantly, we can swap that mesh out, the clothing mesh out at runtime as well. That's very cool. Plus, we can then paint optional physics into the clothing if we want. Optional. Do you know? Yeah, you have to try it. It's extremely cool. I think in my tests, it's worked remarkably well, especially if it's just follower clothing. So physics is hungry. That's very expensive to calculate. So not good for real time, or not good for real time with the density of the meshes that we're used to from DAZ Studio. So with game meshes, things are all much lower poly, but in the meshes that we're dealing with, they're usually a little bit more high poly, sort of 20 to 50,000 polygons. Shamal, brother, character creator and iClone auto setup for Unreal Engine has a new version. Yeah, I know. I've just installed it. Right. Now I know. Okay, so here she is. That is good news with HD detail and everything. So that was part of my experiment this morning. All the HD detail has been retained here, Mrs. Chow. Good stuff. How do we? Art, how's it going, buddy? Good to see you. Good to see you. How do we send her over to the I remember that is, I think we might have to go and restart Unreal Engine for this, because that might be where the other plugin comes in handy. Let me just go and do that, just so that we're all on the same page here. Live retargeting 5.4. This is exciting. Let's see if this works. How is my art today? Happy Father's Day, by the way, and Grandfather's Day. I don't think they call it Grandfather's Day, but it is, Happy Father's Day. Good to see you. What's the latest on the RV journey back from Florida? What's happened there? Old Man Day. Yes, that's true. An input device has been disconnected. That's looks like it's still connected, but that's just me. So let's not worry. Let's not worry. So back into iClone. Let's go and bring in that. I think I have to go and open this, right? Yes. And then for transfer, this is what I need. Scene, indeed. I don't want the prop, the camera, or the lights. I just want the character Mrs. Chow. And I don't need the motion, I just need her. Come on, let's do this thing. This could take a while, so let's have a chat. Let's play something while we wait for Mrs. Chow to travel all the way from iClone into Unreal Engine. You're having a blast. Sweet. That sounds good. How far is it in miles? That's quite the way, isn't it? Because you're in was it Virginia? Was it the West Coast? I don't recall. You travel around so much, That was it already? Was it? I can't tell. Yes. Look at that. Mrs. Chow is still traveling. East Virginia. There we go. Okay. I thought it was. Exciting. That is still a very, very long way. Come on, Mrs. Chow. I do like, I have to say, let me just go and take my face away. I do like what they've done with this. That little thing. Oh, okay, so they couldn't suppress all the messages here. This is what the DAS to Unreal bridge still struggles with. The iClone bridge was very elegant, and they just, for a while they just had, up until 5.3, just had this little thing that was just gonna go travel and show us a progress here. 15 to 20 hour drive. Wow. Wow. You are a patient man. Very patient man. Start auto processing. Here we go. This is going to be exciting. Failed to generate clothing sin mesh due to gender triangles. Found coincident vertices in triangle. Let's worry about that later. Ah, there we go. So we've got an animation sequence here. We've got an animation blueprint already. Oh, that's exciting. Do we have a retargeter though? Could be under motion. No. No, not that either. That's probably not it either. Those look like the textures. Well, how come they're not in the textures folder? We're not going to worry. It's all good. It looks like we may have to go and make our own retargeter asset. So that's Mrs. Chow, and that's looking handsome. And she's already in the same pose as the UE4 mannequin. So we might be able to use that retargeter. So that's a possibility. What does her animation blueprint look like? Just out of curiosity. There's nothing in it. That's cool. We can still use it then. If that isn't doing anything. Unless they need that for something else. I might just make my own. Okay, let's try this. This is a bit of magic and I've never tried this out. So let's see how this goes. So let's have a look at her blueprint. What does her blueprint look like? Oh, that is just a skeletal mesh with a lifelink component attached. Gotcha. So yeah, we're not going to use that. We're going to make our own here. Okay. Okay, nobody panic. We're gonna work this out. First things first, let's make an animation blueprint here. So create anim blueprint, and we're gonna call this one ABP Chow, just so that we know what it is. Mrs. Chow will require one node, which is retarget pose from mesh. And this node will require an IK retargeter. So I might just go and copy the one that Epic give us under characters. Could be mannequins, could be rigs, could be retarget. That's the other one, isn't it? UE4 mannequin, because she looks like the UE4 mannequin. So retarget 4 to 5. That is that what we want? I think it might be. I don't know. Let's go and copy this out into Mrs. Chow here. Copy. And we're going to call this RTG UE4 to 5. And then in here, does she really need that then? We need 5 to 4. I'm sorry, this is the source, this is the destination. We need the 5 skeleton to drive the 4. Sorry, let's go and grab the other one. It's complicated. 5 to 4. This is really what we want. Copy that here. Maybe this is the one. So RTG UE5 to 4. That should work. And in 5 to 4, we want to leave this guy but replace him. So this is fine, but this here, that needs to be my Mrs. Chow rig. Oh, do we not have that? RL something, or we don't have an IK rig. Well, that we need, don't we? Because otherwise that's not gonna work. We don't have an IK rig here, do we? I don't think we do. Oh, can I? Oh, really? That is interesting. Can I do that? So instead of this guy, I'm just going to go and use Mrs. Chow here. And that's going to work, you think? Well, I'll be damned, man. It does work. Brian, you're the magic man. I don't need to do anything because she's already UE4'd, isn't she? That is very cool. If we give her... Oh, those are manly animations here. I think I might curl up her fingers a little bit. That is pretty cool, Brian. I like it. So if it's that easy, then we should be able to use the new game animations project with her as well. That is pretty exciting. How do I stop this thing? Stop. Okay, fine. Found it. It's cool. I'm just going to go and say this. And then let's have a quick look at her fingers. I don't think they are as curved as his, so I'll just make a few adjustments here. I think everything else is fine. I just want to make the fingers a little bendier here. So target hand L. I think the hand itself is cool as well. It's just the fingers. I had to do that on the DAS ones as well. Whoops. Yeah, they curl outwards a bit, and that's just not a good look for Mrs. Chow here. I think 10 each should do the trick. Unless we feel maybe that needs to have 20. Now we can close the pinky onto the ring finger. Yeah, I think the tips, they might need 20. Maybe 30 even. Because his fingers are pretty curled here. With HD wrinkle detail. I like that. I like that. Middle finger. 10 and 10 and then 20. Index finger. This isn't going to hurt Mrs. Chow, I promise. How are thumbs doing there? I think they are the same. Well, that looks ill. I think I've broken her thumb. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Chow. That was totally not my intention. Was it this one? No, that's also not it. Was it this? No, that's not it. What are we doing then here? Is it... do we want to do that in world? Yeah, that looks a little bit better. Oh, wow. What happened to her poor index finger here? That is also... What did I do there? That's difficult to... to redo. Let me just go and do a little bit of undo action here. Sorry about the finger. And that's me saying it's not going to hurt. I was lying. And this is definitely a case for local. Yeah, I think all those fingertips they could do with a bit of bending like this. Okay. Ouch, Mrs. Chow. Let's just hope she was under anesthetics here. So that thumb is more in here. And then this is a little bit bizarre. So this is where we need to do world now. But also yeah, I hope that's gonna work. Let's see if it does work. Walk in place. I think there was a way to hide these bones somewhere. Well, I forgot where. That's looking a bit better though, compared to that hand. Okay, so we will proceed exactly like that with the other hand. Thank you, Mrs. Chow. How do we, how do I switch this back out of this thing? Oh, here, run retarget. There we go, perfect. One of those things. Okay, so we'll start with that crooked thumb. That shouldn't look like that, should it? That's just, I say no. That shouldn't look like that. So that is on the other hand, isn't it? Right hand, perfect. So right hand, ring finger. We're going to start here. Start in order. Ring finger, and that is that. We good with local? Yes, local. That's the ring finger. Oh, that's the ring finger, isn't it? Why is that the first one then? I don't know. 10 and then 20 here. That's the ring finger then. Middle finger. 10 and 10. I don't know what happens when we use this newfangled auto align thing here. We can try that, but I have had not great experiences with the DAS character when I do that. The moment you try that, it all gets a little, mangled. So I thought I'll use the manual method first because I know that works. That looks a little bit better. It's almost like I could do with a tiny bit more curling, like so. Okay, that's the thumb. Index finger. 10 and 10 and 20. And I would love it to work, one click and everything's aligned. That's the idea behind it. But with the DAS character it didn't work, so I'm going to leave that to until a later date to try that out. At least we know this is definitely going to work. Not bad. Not bad. Let's see if that works. Thank you, Mrs. Chow. Thank you, UE524 retargeter. So this is now the thing that we're going to give the animation blueprint here. RTG 524 retargeter. That is all this thing needs. So then in my third person blueprint, I'm going to call this one, not the DAS mesh, this is going to be the RL mesh now. We're going to call this one Mrs. Chow. Yes, almost. And then we need her animation blueprint, which is going to be ABP Chow indeed. Haha, there she goes. Compile and walking around with Mrs. Chow. Look at that. That is pretty insane. Reallusion character, retargeted with HD detail baked from that studio. That is pretty insane. If only she'd have an outfit on, huh? Oh, there's another Mrs. Chow over here. What are you doing over here? Should you be here? Look, I can walk around. You can just stand still. Hey, that is pretty cool. I like it. I like it. Let's see. I mean, what are the chances of us bringing over an outfit with Chaos Cloth for her? That would be interesting. I mean, there's so many interesting things. This means we can probably use her as the playable character in the game animations project. So that is pretty exciting. I do like that. Maybe we're going to try that first, and then we worry about the outfits, maybe. So if this works, that's already like major cause for applause here, right? Lifelink puppet. Oh, that could be, yes. Do we have something here? Yes, we do have one Mrs. Chow here. They just put that in here. I think I can probably delete her. So then how should we do that? We could technically just do exactly the same, just with a different project, and see if that works. And then if it doesn't, we can go and migrate this Mrs. Chow over into the other project. Oh, great. I'm glad it's useful. I'm glad it's useful. How you been? How you been? Good to see you. Weird Science X. Good to see you, buddy. Let's go and make that... they have just had an update on this project here, the game animation sample, a hot fix. Let's make a brand new one here. And then see if we can just go and copy the Reallusion character in there, and we'll see if it works. Yes, Chaos Cloth, I'm really in love, even though it's still a bit beta and stuff, but I think I can see where this is going. Oh dear, I've actually clicked on network. That's going to take hours. That'd be good for Windows to have a cancel button here that goes, don't worry about trying to figure out the network. I clicked by mistake. I'm really sorry. Don't waste the next 5 minutes of my life. Do you know, I haven't actually streamed until for a few weeks, so you probably haven't missed much. Yeah, I've been busy too, which is good, isn't it? Good to be busy. Yes, Chaos Cloth, I think that's gonna help solve a lot of problems that we've had with the DAS to Unreal Engine workflow. I like the idea of being able to swap out clothing while keeping the character intact at runtime or in sequences. That's really, really helpful. It'll cut down a lot on the amount of data we need to copy over. It solves the problem of having to have modular characters. That is, that's very cool. Oh, come on. There we go. Thank you so much, Windows. Unreal projects. Live retarget. Yeah, let's put it in there. And we'll call that RL animation sample. Perfect. Totally true. And it's really difficult to fix as well. If you have that merged mesh, it's really difficult to fix the poke through, because in the A pose, everything looks great. And then it's only with particular animations that particular things poke through, and you go, oh God, that's just, yeah. So Chaos Cloth is gonna tidy that all up. That's very nice. I don't know what the word on the street is, but I would imagine that these projects, including this as well as the Chaos Cloth things, those will be improved over time, but I don't know if they're going to coincide with the new releases of Unreal Engine. I don't know, what's the word on the street for 5.5? Is that going to be, what's their release schedule? Every 3 months or so? Every 6? I can't tell. Like last time when we had 5.3, I think we've had 5.3 for quite a few months now, whereas before that, I felt like there was an update every 20 minutes. So I'm kind of glad that that they slowed that down a little bit. Oh, and then also while we're waiting for this to happen here, cast your eye on the new Blender 4.2, where add-ons are now called extensions, and there's a slightly different way to install them. I'm going to go and copy my Reallusion plugins into this project here. Oh, that's interesting. So the folder that this sends me to is not the folder that the stuff installed itself to, which is a little lame. I mean, was that on auto setup? Well, it's on auto setup. It's fine. Jay got it wrong. It's all good. Auto setup 5.4 content. Actually, and plugins, we can probably just copy both of these things over here, right? Oh, copy indeed. I think that works, right? Yes. Good stuff. Whew. Let's see how this goes. So this is now the thing that doesn't do state machines. This is the one that uses motion matching to find the best matching animation, looking at where the character is going and where the character came from. It sounds really futuristic, but it's just a database. It's a database that looks at how many matching animations do I have based on certain criteria, like how far are the feet apart and how far is the character bent forward. And then it looks at similar poses that go the same way with similar criteria, and then it just blends into those rather than into state machine states. That's how that magic works. And it's over 500 animations, which is insane. Okay, here it is. So the project begins with the UEFN mannequin, and it's slightly different to the state machine thing. So I can go and strafe, and the guy just goes and does his interpolates and picks different animations, so that makes it extremely interesting of how if he jumps to the left or right. In state machines, usually the character has just one jumping and landing animation, but here we have him jumping to the side and jumping differently to the side, and depending on how much inertia there was, it jumps to the side differently. And then it doesn't just jump over, it depends on how far away the character is from this from the wall, and then it picks a different animation every time, so that makes it look incredibly interesting. And the player doesn't really have to get involved in that, or we don't have to get involved in that, which is really exciting. And there's also different ways of I think you can walk as well. Can you walk? How do you walk? Oh yeah, there we go. Walks. It's very casual. Or you can do it with the free walking guy. Readme view controls. Game animation, light style, ding, or perhaps dark style. Yes, I like the dark style. With him being orange, that's kind of cool. Yes, I think motion matching itself isn't actually a new technology. It's just something that they've now released. And yeah, I think that explains why some AAA games look so cool. And in fact, they're using multiple databases to cut down on the amount of query. So when it comes to query time here, it doesn't query one database for matching animations out of a set of 500. It goes and says, well, when we're sort of in the air and it comes to a jumping animation, only show me a set of jumping animations, and that's only like 10 or so, not 500. And then that makes the that it's cheaper to then to query that. It's super exciting. I like that. I like that concept. I would like it even more if we have to get involved in it even less. So, fantastic. And then we're on this. This is really evil. I don't think I've ever gone to the end of this. No, that's because it's just difficult. So let's see if we can find a way to bring Mrs. Chow into this scene. For that, I think first thing we need to do is get that live link Reallusion plugin in here, restart, and then we'll go and send her over again. We'll see if that works. Did you manage to get to the very end of that? Randomized or not? I thought it was really, really difficult. I think maybe we need to make it so that the platforms are slightly closer together, or that he can just jump a little bit higher. Never. Excellent. That is funny. Let's see if we can bring Mrs. Chow into the madness here. Also, do we still need that retargeter? I would imagine they've included it in this project. Okay, first things first. I clone Mrs. Chow. We're gonna have to go and transfer you once more. This time into a different project though, so it's gonna, it's not gonna hurt. Maybe it's gonna hurt because we may have to adjust your thumbs again, but we can try out the auto align tool. See if that works. That'll be interesting. YouTube are just telling me that you guys might see ads on different times to maximize my revenue / their revenue. So if one of you sees an ad, it doesn't mean somebody else will see an ad. Oh, really? Do you know, I remember I always liked platformers and I thought they were fascinating, but for as long as I can remember, I sucked at them. And I remember several PlayStation 2 controllers got a really, really terrible time in my possession because I could just not use the right jumping controls in, what was that game I played? It was Jak and Daxter. Indeed, yeah, Jak and Daxter, the first one on the fat PlayStation 2. And it was really difficult. And it took me years to master some of these controls. But they have stayed with me, which is kind of nice. That is quite nice. It's a shame that the platformers like those have fallen out of favor a little bit, not including the Nintendo Mario type things. And now it's all about Metroidvanian Souls-like things, isn't it? Can't we just have a normal platformer? Also one that isn't so crazy that you can't do it. That'd be nice. But hey. What platformers did you play? Oh, yes, I remember the original Tomb Raiders. Do you know, which reminds me, I picked up the Tomb Raider Remastered 1, 2, and 3, and I'm really looking forward to that. I had forgotten that I had those. That is exciting. I gotta play those. That'd be good to relive those glory days. I think they're very close to the real ones, to the originals, just with modern input controls and better graphics. Now I think with this here, we're not gonna. So this project is structured a little bit differently than the third-person template. We could replace him just like we did before, just add another mesh to this guy, and then make that our Mrs. Chow mesh, and then we'll make him invisible and all that. But they've already included that functionality in the project here with these retargeted characters here. And in fact, those are child objects of this CBP sandbox character, these ones here. And we can just tell the game mode to use a different character. And the game, and this animation blueprint here, that contains a map to retargeter specific for each character. So very, very clever the way they've done that. So it's very clean. So all we need to do here in the game mode is to pick ourselves a different child character. So under default pawn class, CBP sandbox character, that's the one that we had, but we can just use somebody like Echo, for example, and then start this game again. And then we have a different character in here. And, Mrs. Chow, you're in here. How exciting. And she has physics on it as well. That's very cool with the hair and stuff. That is very cool. Woohoo! How exciting. Mrs. Chow, meet Echo. And I think, if I remember correctly, they did something somewhere, and I don't know where that is, but these characters, they have different heights. So she is a bit taller, I believe, than the other characters. So that when she grabs this ledge here, her hands still grab the correct place. So there is a value somewhere that interpolates that on shorter characters with shorter body height, they can still grab the same ledge. But I have no idea where that is. You'd imagine it's defined in the retargeter somewhere. So when it comes to putting Mrs. Chow in here, we need to go and do the same thing that they've done here. So we're gonna try to, first of all, get rid of Mrs. Chow here. And I think in the retargeted characters, we're just going to go, let's take the Echo character and just duplicate that. And we're going to call that one CBP sandbox character Chow. Or maybe just, call her CBP Chow. How about that? CBP Chow. Maybe just with one underscore here. So I just duplicated one of these, and in here is where we're going to do that work. So instead of this character here, so we don't need the hair, and we're going to call this one the RL mesh, and then in here we will use our skeletal mesh asset, which is Mrs. Chow. And for some reason it doesn't quite show this up. I don't really know why, but with the retargeter asset for her, let's see if it works. Stranger things have no, it doesn't work. Oh, because I haven't changed the the character here. CBP Chow, perfect. Let's do that. Well, yes, Mrs. Chow. Okay, fine. That retargeter isn't made for you. I totally get it, and we need to go and work on that because that looks painful. So let's make a new retargeter. But in principle, it's already working. So that is, whoa. Yeah. Okay. Got to do some work on that retargeter. Yeehaw. Okay, good. Hey, I'm pleased. This is good. This is going places. And the retargeters are where again? Oh, here. No, that's not them. Anim modifiers, that's not them either. Retargeted characters. We only have one animation blueprint here. And I think in here somewhere there's a retargeter map, I believe. And here is where they define a tag and the retargeter asset. Let's see where these retargeters actually are. They are in, they're in here. Oh, really? Oh, perfect. So we basically need to copy this because that's the thing that turns the UEFN mani into the UE4 mani. And this is exactly what we did in the previous thing. So we need to go and make a copy of that. Put it into the Mrs. Chow folder to keep it all intact. Mrs. Chow folder, copy that into here. Perfect. And that's this. So we're going to call this one RTG UEFN to RL. Perfect. We're going places. So, and this is what that looks like now. And the details, we're just going to go and, just like Brian said, preview mesh for this is now going to be officially Mrs. Chow. And that doesn't look great, but maybe we'll try to do the auto alignment thing now. Unless we need to have a proper IK rig for her. They haven't given us one, have they? Have they? IK rig for... No, we might have to make ourselves one. I think that's where it might possibly go wrong. I mean, let's see if it works. Let's see if it works. Auto align, right? Oh, maybe we need to go to here. Auto align? All bones? That's it? Man, that sorted Mrs. Chow right out, huh? She is an old woman, yes, so she should have all kinds of issues. This is... That was it? See, with the Reallusion character it works. With the Dash character it goes like... and lands on the floor and it's all like... Interesting. So, that doesn't look like it's working though. We now have so many animations that it's almost impossible to to pick just the regular walking one. I mean, it sort of works. Walk, loop forward. How about that? She walks like a man, but that's not something we can change really. Also, maybe her body height isn't perfect, but perhaps we're not going to worry about any of that, and we'll just go and put it into the project and see if it, you know, if it works. Maybe. She is an old woman. So back in our character here, which is still not showing Mrs. Chow, but that's just something I really haven't figured out why that is. Imagine it is showing that. On this mesh here, we need to go and have a look at the tag. And in here, we just need to give it the name of the retargeter, which is RTG UEFN2RL. There we go. That's what that needs to be. And then we can go and put that same thing into this array. So we'll just go and add another element to it. And we're going to use that and put our retargeter that we've just made in here. So this means that the child thing here, this mesh, when that is used in the animation blueprint, it will automatically use this retargeter that we've just picked. So that keeps the logic quite exciting here. So let's see if it works, shall we? That is still Mrs. Chow. Yeah, granted, she's not on the floor. I wonder if that's something that we need to tell the retargeter, if we just move the capsule down. That'll work. So she certainly is motion matching all of these things, and they're all being live retargeted as we play the game. Woohoo! This is Chow. And her hands sort of magically grab those ledges there. I don't really know why or how that works, but hey, do we need to know? It's just it's just nice to see Mrs. Chow having so much agile fun here. That's very cool. Hiya! Come on. Here comes the big one. 2.5 meters, and hiya! Well done, Mrs. Chow. Let's put you on the floor. That is actually, I wonder if that is something to do with the retargeter here. Because her feet are just not where they're supposed to be. How do we deal with that? Any suggestions welcome. I think I'm going to go and do the offset here. Oh, this works. It's just that when we're in, when we're in here, we can see that she's just not on the ground. So I don't know what that is about. Is that a source mesh offset, potentially? No, it isn't. And this is just for preview, so I think we're going to need something along the lines of a 10 offset here. Pick a character that isn't a small granny. Because this is something we need to give that information to the retargeter, right? Yeah, we could go. I mean, while we're on this subject, we can. Why don't we send over Kevin? That's a good idea, isn't it? And then we could do the same thing with Kevin and see if Kevin has the same problem. It could just be her height, but you know, there has to be a way to compensate for that, and I have no idea how they do that. So auto align did what we just did there. I can't imagine. Like in here, it could just be, no, she's at the aligned with the bottom of the capsule, I think, is it? Is she? Left. Yeah, no, she's not aligned with the bottom of the capsule. I think maybe that's the problem. So we just go and take the mesh and just put it down without that. And maybe that's already the source issue. Is not quite 10, so 5 is the bottom of the capsule. Let's try that. Just out of curiosity, how's that going? Let's see, still a little bit hovering, so I don't know if that's the correct solution here. Just put the mesh down, because she has that knee thing here, so even though it suits her, well, that suddenly aligned her with the ground, even too much, and sometimes her feet are digging in, so maybe a -8. Super granny. But also super granny with HD detail. I think that is pretty exciting, isn't it? Nancy's, how's it going? Let's try that. It's going like -8. That looks like it's amazing now, isn't it? Yo, no, hang on. What's happening here? What's happening with the foot? I think that's got to be the retargeter. Or that could have been a motion matching issue, because I've only seen it once. And it is very beta, so it's... We need to give you some shoes here. Oh, she can walk as well. Walks like a man, you know. Fantastic, Nancy's, how's it going? Oh yeah, they also have a look around part of the template. If it's like an adventure game where you look around with the bottom left trigger. That is very cool. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go and bring the camera a little bit closer to our character, because that's quite nice. And then while we're doing that, let's go and find another character from the Reallusion arsenal and bring them over as well. Isn't that cool? I'm glad you could walk, or you could drop by. Yes, it was a very spontaneous decision on my part. I've been meaning to do it yesterday, but the whole weekend was a little bit problematic for us, because we had almost like a state of emergency in Florida here, because we had so much rain. Or maybe that's a bit too close here. We had so much rain over the last week that they've issued us flood warnings down here. Thankfully, the rain has now calmed down a little bit. Well, there we go. Perfect. Yeah, I do like the wider camera, because then we can watch the footwork. Fantastic. And now that we can do that, and maybe do a different character here, say, let's try Kevin in a moment. what are the chances of us putting a real environment in here and letting them walk around that? That would be kind of interesting, wouldn't it? Right, rain and heat wave seem to be the East Coast news recently. Yeah, totally. Yes, Florida is often associated with just pure sunshine all the time, huh? I'm glad you're not doing the dishes. I'm glad. So, thank you, Mrs. Chow. I'm glad we could, we could bring you into that other project. Let's go and bring in perhaps my man Kevin. I can load that directly from iClone, right? I don't have to go via character creator. Of course I can. We can even use one of these guys here. Maybe Susan here. We'll use Susan. Kevin. Do we have a clothed version of Kevin? There's a kit. Nice. There's all kinds of business people here. They should work as well because they're all Reallusion 4 type characters. We can get a matching grandpa here. I love it. Toon characters. Oh, now we have, look at that. These things are new. I haven't seen these before. Baby, athletic female, female old. Sweet. Did you know about this, Brian? I didn't. Who's Alicia? I don't even know these people. How exciting. And a lot of eyes also. Brilliant. Well, let me just search for Kevin. Kevin, this guy here, Kevin. Perfect. There are two new characters. Well, not so much new characters, but there's a Kevin on the Epic Store. If you look for Kevin, he is actually available as a free character from the Unreal Engine marketplace. And the selling point here is that he comes with a control rig that Reallusion have made. I think there's another character. Sadly, I've forgotten her name. Nia, that's it. Nia, that's her. So she's also a free character. And yeah, that's quite nice to see Reallusion characters with proper shaders set up, ready to rock inside of Unreal Engine. So also very interesting to use those guys. Here's Kevin, and you come clothed, so that is nice. Let's go and transfer you just as the character. Kevin, there we go. Oh, what? That's weird. That is weird art. The baby jumping. Let's go install the baby. Why don't we try that? I like it. I'm game. I'm game set. And also we then have a new game. Baby jumping. Not sponsored by any coffee companies. I've expanded my setup here, by the way. So I've finally got a dual monitor setup where I don't have to use a second monitor to monitor the stream. I've used my iPad for that, which is now hovering over on the left-hand side of my main screen. So I've got main screen, then I've got second screen, and then I've got my iPad on the other side. So it's a lot of screens here. I feel like I'm in a cockpit. Oh, you too? That is weird. That is weird. What are you two playing at? Maybe we need to do the next session on Twitch. What do you think? Because Twitch, there's like, I don't get transcodes on Twitch. You get my packets or nothing. That's how it works on Twitch these days. The baby. Oh, while Unreal Engine is working on it, let me go and have a look at the baby and install that. I don't think I've ever looked at that baby. It's good to discover new characters. Baby CC avatar, this, right? Coming right up. What's in the human anatomy pack? Interesting. I don't think I have a diaper that it could wear, so... Good question. I asked that earlier. It's a tricky one. It really is a tricky one. And the response, while appreciated, it's just, it still leaves a bitter taste in my mouth as well. The thing is, though, with Adobe, this isn't the first time this has happened. I think the first time was about a year ago, where we all, year and a half ago, where we all found that there was, inside the Creative Cloud app, there was a tick box which was enabled by default that says we can look at your content. And they didn't really describe it that well, but some of us thought, well, clearly that's just content that's stored in Creative Cloud. And others thought, well, but maybe it isn't because it's so vague. We really don't know what it means. And it's only when that blew up on social that I think people then went and switched it off. And a year later, we now have something that is definitely a change to the end user license agreement. So, and it's just, you can't say, hey, you agree for us to use all your content for whatever purpose and sub-license it to other people. You can't do that. And it doesn't matter if it's just for statistical purposes, but really that's just spitting the customers in the face and then coming up with, oh yeah, but really what we meant was really something completely different. Doesn't matter what you do with it and what you mean by it. Technically, if we give you this license, you can do whatever you want with our content, and that is problematic. I think it hasn't helped that this announcement sort of coincided with Microsoft's latest funkiest technology called Recall. And no matter if it's currently on your PC, if it's coming to your PC, if your PC will never get it, who says it hasn't been in operation for the last 10 years? Who says what I'm doing on my screen hasn't been transmitted to some cloud service for the last 10 years? I don't know. It's all fair and square that you say, oh no, that's just for you, and we're going to do this local. And hey, the fact remains that if you put this into the license agreement now, I can't really trust you anymore. That's the problem. Right. And the NDA, exactly right. If you work under an NDA and you say, well, I can't really sign that because anything I do might be intercepted by Adobe and get floated on some, in some talk about AI learning. Oh, here's what the customer did. And obviously we used this with his permission because he signed the license. You go, yeah, that is not so good, is it? That really isn't good. Now that we have a second character, I might have to be more specific what this is called here. So this is going to be called the Mrs. Chow retargeter. So I'm going to rename this UEFN to Chow. And us doing that means we also need to rename it in here. So that is going to be Chow. And then it already remembers that. And this is going to have to be UEFN to Chow. And it's tricky because I don't have the luxury of saying I'll cancel my subscription to Adobe and just use other apps for that. As much as I would love to, and probably have to look into it in the long run. Right now, what they do, what these Adobe apps do is just fantastic. And there is no open source replacement for Substance Painter. Premiere it's tough. There's video editors out there, but what I do with Premiere is something very different. That goes beyond a normal video edit. And there's also After Effects, and it's not as easy as saying just use DaVinci Resolve. It really isn't. It's not that easy. So yeah, on one hand, I'd like for it to not be like it is, but at the same time, I also have to admit this is the world we live in, and as somebody who uses Adobe apps to make a living, you're just gonna have to live with it. And we can only hope that that Adobe doesn't do the bad stuff that we think they do. So yeah, that's my take on it. It's tough. I don't really know what to make of it. Yes, I'm going to do that as well. I haven't looked into Affinity, but we frequently use Canva, which Affinity is owned by the same parent company, which Guy Kawasaki is involved, and they're good for quick tweaks, and that has replaced a lot of the Photoshop work for thumbnails. So Affinity is definitely on my list. I also use Clip Studio Paint. That is a really nice application that's very similar to Photoshop. But yeah, Affinity is quite nice. Video editors, I do use Camtasia, so that is nice. They have some good transitions, and for normal video editing work, that is good too. Right, that's Substance is the big thing, isn't it? And Armor Paint really isn't cutting it. Quixel Mixer really isn't cutting it either in that regard. Possibly, yes. Canva might be on a buying spree, so let's hope that they're not going to turn into the new Adobe. And Clip Studio Paint is a really, really good replacement for Photoshop, so that is really funky, and especially if you're into drawing. But many of the features that they use are also usable in that. So I mean, just this being a wider discussion, ideally, on this note, I would also love to get rid of Windows, really, because Unreal Engine runs on Windows, Unreal Engine runs on Linux, Blender runs on Linux, and none of the Adobe apps do. Even with hacks, you just can't get them going on Linux. Because if I could, then I would ditch Windows, really, and just work with Fedora and KDE Plasma. That would be my main workstation. But I can't afford to drop the Adobe apps, and that's partly the problem. But Affinity Photo is available on Linux, is it not? I think. Well, that's the thing. Gaming is getting so much better now on Linux thanks to the Steam Deck innovation, so that is quite cool. Thank you for switching off the car alarm there, sir. Or madam. So let's go and copy this retargeter that we made for Mrs. Chow and copy that into Kevin here. Copy that into here. And we're going to go and rename that to Kevin. And Kevin, we're going to go and replace with the Kevin. Okay, that looks not healthy. You're a bit taller than the UEFN mannequin. So let's go and edit you and do the same thing, auto align. Is it really that easy that we just go and click auto align and all bones? Ah, was there something? Snap character to ground. Here it is. Move the character vertically to restore original height from the ground. Uses the selected bone as the reference point for a grounded limb. Otherwise searches for skeleton for the lowest retargeted bone. Really? So we just do this. And he's already okay, but oh my god, really? That is seriously cool. So we've done that, and then we do walk. Something with walk forward. Man, there's so many animations. Walk F. Yeah, so you're also not on the ground. Told you, fat fingers. Dang, brother. That's cold. So, edit retarget pose. Auto-align selected bones. It's not the clavicle. It's the foot L and foot R. Auto snap character to ground. Plonk. How do we save it though? Is that like, do we need to save it? Current retarget pose. Do we need to make a new pose? This is one of those things I can't really work out about this. If we go back, he's still hovering. So even though I can see the functionality there, I don't know how to lock it in. Current retarget pose. Does that mean we need to create duplicate current? Sure thing. Default pose V2 perhaps? Is that a good name? Contains spaces, so I don't know if that's good or not. Auto align, snap character to the ground. It doesn't work. Courses, I considered, yes. And I mean, I've made courses, like the DAS Masterclass was technically a course. And my original idea was to sell it as a product. But Daz and I came to an agreement that was very handsome. So that was a course. But to be honest, the trouble with courses is that there's just so much change all the time that it's really tricky to keep things current, you know. So this is to Kevin. And I think if I had more time, I would probably focus on that. I would probably do that. That and also 3D products. That is something, I have a long list of things I want to make and sell as products on the DAS store, on the Unreal Engine marketplace. And the big problem is that I just don't have the time. It's crazy. Oh, now we need to make another blueprint here for the retargeted character. Maybe we'll go and duplicate Mrs. Chow again here. Duplicate that. Kevin. I might be doing something along the lines of DAS to Unreal. Basically, Unreal Engine for DAS users. That is something that I'm cooking up, possibly together with Paul from Digital Art Live. Whoa, that's not good, right? So now Mrs. Chow is showing up here, but I thought we just replaced Kevin here, but that is not a good look. Maybe we're going to just go and ignore that and not worry about it, and just make sure we're going to give that mesh the appropriate tag here. Kevin. Let's see if that works. And then in my game mode, let me go and pick Kevin and see if that works. Kevin. Oh, Kevin, you're running on the ground, which is great. I did, yes, thank you for asking. It's this is the sorted version. Kevin, I'm Kevin too. Yes, I think I got it sorted. Do you know what it was? It was, so on one hand, I asked Windows to refresh itself. That was good. But then I thought, I think it may have been my own problem, because I had a folder called stuff on my desktop, which I've been, collecting stuff in for the last so many months. Fingers, that retargeter needs a little bit of a tweak there. Middle finger as well. But that's, that's neither here nor there. And I think 40 gigabytes of stuff, I think Windows didn't like that. Can you jump without running? Nah, that didn't work, did it? But you can jump up 2.5 meters. Very good. Very, very good, I have to say. Not so bad. Yeah, so I've heard this before. Shortcuts are fine on the desktop, but if you put things like large files on your desktop, that is not good for Windows performance. And I didn't know that that's how it would manifest itself. And now I think I do. I just don't want to lose it. So I did what you did as well. I just made sure I made a copy of that. And then, game animation widget. Oh, nice. So we can do all kinds of things here. I think we can go and draw the traversal. No, we can't. Why we can't? Query Foley events. No, trajectory, that's it. Trajectory. And movement. This is a little debug function. You can see how the frames per second sort of drop a little bit when he does this. And I suppose the motion matching system uses this under the hood to say what possible animations are we going to potentially play next. It's very cool. It's very cool. What I didn't know is that the guy who basically made this here, who's running this project, was the man behind the advanced locomotion system. That is why this is so cool. I forgot his name. What was his name again? Luke something. Yeah, so very, very cool. Movement, yeah. Let's get rid of movement. I think it was Luke something. Oh, yes, definitely. Do you know, speaking of which, why don't we try that next? Because we've got a little bit of time. Let's see if we can find an asset, that, like a good-looking, handsome-looking asset that we can go and put in here. And then we can go and run around with all these people in a real environment. I'm thinking there is one that I actually bought before it was made free. And that looks very handsome. It's the Lookout Tower. That is really cool. Oh, look, so I already bought it. Let me go and update it here. And that is a beautiful environment. I don't know if we have much to jump around there, but it certainly is this beautiful watchtower that looks over this landscape, and we need the water plugin as well. So I think we can probably just add that in there. Yeah, it's an add to project thing. Oh, okay, that's perfect. So let's go and do that. Quickly enable the water plugin, because that is what is needed. Water, do we need buoyancy? I don't know if we do need that, possibly. Let's go with buoyancy as well. And water extras, sample test maps, why don't we throw those in as well? My god, there's the procedural content generation framework, water interoperable thingy-majig. We might have to use that as well. So let's go and restart that. This project here, Lookout Tower, is free currently. Pick it up. It looks beautiful. And it also, I bought it for 60 bucks, I think. Was it live return? No, that wasn't it. It was something about RL animation sample. That's it. Let's put that in here. And for this to work, you have to enable the water plugin. And the author is very nice. He tells you this. So it'll start, but the environment doesn't look quite right. But water in here, it's good. It's good, I tell you. Right, okay. It reminded me of, what was it called? Firewatch. That's, I think, why I bought it, because I thought that is just so cool. Firewatch, the demo. I can't wait to run around in this project with motion matching. And we can also try a DAS character. My goodness, why don't we? Easy. Firewatch was good, wasn't it? Do you know, I'm currently getting back into Redfall, believe it or not. I've always liked Redfall, and the latest updates for their final one, it's just so nice that they could make that happen. It has offline mode. It's beautiful. I'm having lots of fun with it. You got lost a lot. Yeah, same here. Collision profile settings do not include an entry for the water collision profile, which is required for water collision to work. Let's add it to default ini. Thank you. Good stuffs. Now, can we find where that is? Widgets, it could be levels, input characters. I have no idea. Is it in levels? Is it even in here already? It might not be in here yet. Is it still working on it? Do I need to restart it? Downloads definitely have finished, so RL animation sample, that is what we're using, right? Live retarget. Oh yeah, that is the thing, is it? Yeah, that's the one. Just checking. Add to project. And okay, so it should be in the Lookout Tower, already exists. Why then can I not see it, my friend? Curious. Let me just restart this again. In fact, in content, should I have lookout tower? I should be seeing it. Maybe it just hadn't refreshed or something. Yes, exactly. The lookout tower is an epic freebie this month, and it's worth every penny of your 0 cents that you're gonna give them, because it's it's fantastic. Yeah, as I said, I had bought it when it came out, and I thought it was really, really beautiful. I always wanted to make an animation with it and never got a chance. But what really got me is that when you load it up and you know nothing about how this really works and you feel like some things are missing, you walk through the set and there's this text actor that says, hey, you need to enable the water plugin. And you think, oh, do I? Great. And then you do it and then everything works. It's good. So it's good to have developers like that who don't assume you're compiling Unreal Engine from scratch for breakfast and you've written 3 game engines from scratch, like so many other. Look at tower, there it is, perfect. Blueprints, maps, materials. Let's go with maps. Maps, demo, fly, readme, important. See, good stuff. Overview, that's just the assets. I think demo is possibly what might work here. Let's see if it does. Oh, okay. Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate that. Welcome, by the way. Oh, did it have an issue? I don't recall. Excellent. Thank you so much for letting us know. I like it. Good to know. Oh, I see. Just dumped everything into the root. I get you. Yes, that can be tough. That can be tough. Oh, that's another thing that got renamed in 5.4. It's not called fix-up redirectors anymore. We now have something else. It's called update redirector references. So sadly, they don't call it fix-up anymore. It's now called update redirector references. Waiting for texture resource to be ready for landscape named landscape. All right, let's do that. Do we have a player character here? Or a player start rather? Yes, we do. Where is it? It is here. Interesting. And 106 other bits and pieces to be compiled. There we go. Water is rocking and rolling. Post-process volume is working. I like it. Very cool. Yeah, so this is still working its way through it here, but it's huge. So it's like, this is what I really appreciated about this asset. So you say it's a lookout tower and you expect this, and I think it comes as a light version that just has the tower. But then you go onto the inside here and it's highly detailed with all kinds of things in here. So that's very cool already. But then not only that, you go on the outside and you've got this massive landscape around it. So it's already more or less a game. You could literally make this a Firewatch 2 if you wanted, with foliage. That is something, I wish Epic would change. So building a level like this takes time. And if you wanted to sell this level, you currently can't, because I can't take a Quixel Megascans pack, make a level with it, and then redistribute it. That's not allowed. And I can't partner with Quixel to say, hey, I'll give you 50% of the income because I've used your assets, but I've spent the time making this level. There's currently no way, like we have on the DAS store or on the Renderosity store, that we say, my product requires this product, and for my product to work, you need to buy and install this other product. They don't have that concept yet, which is a shame. So I wish that's coming at one point. Let's see what happens when we play it. Which player character is it going to choose? The default pawn. Gotcha. I see. We don't want that though, do we? So that is a game mode thing, isn't it? Which is, we need game mode not overridden. Let's override it with GM Sandbox. Right? Is that how it works? Yes! OMG, Kevin! He's running around in foliage and stuff. Oh my god. That was with motion matching and all of that. So that's pretty cool with 3 clicks. That's pretty insanely cool, isn't it? Come on, that's insane. Really? It was that easy? Kevin does not want to commit suicide. That's good, Kevin. We appreciate that. Yes. Wow. Okay. That's pretty insane. Let's put game logic together, make it an adventure game, and release it this afternoon. That's. Hey, that really is amazing. Do you want to go see the water, Kevin? Or shall we have Mrs. Chow look at the water? Shall we bring in your friend? What's her name? The girl in the skirt. What's her name again? Whoa! I don't know if we're going to find our way back up. But there's that river. And they've put the aim in here as well. I remember trying to do this myself, and that was seriously difficult. Because at that point you zoom in slightly, and it's all very difficult. Oh yeah, and then we have this. So this project is also equipped with the cameras always behind the character, but if you press in the right stick, the character can rotate. What's happening with the collision here? Or are we just? I think collision is a bit much on this rock here. might have to get fixed. Oh, Kevin, that's insane. And this is when we need that swimming logic. But post-process volume is already set up, so that's my god, pick up this asset. Oh, and then you could add something that if he's been in the water and he comes out, his shirt gets wet, and then you mix the shader back to the dry shader only after so many game minutes. Yes. Take a walk by the beach, Kevin. This is great. This is pretty cool, isn't it? Kevin has strong knees, yes. Does Kevin know how to get back up to the watchtower? I mean, somebody's got to watch for fires and stuff. Can Kevin jump up here? No, I don't think he's going to be able to jump up anywhere because that needs to be defined. I don't think we've defined any of those points. So unless there's some kind of a walkable path here, Kevin is never going to be able to make it back up. That is problematic, Kevin. You're going to have to put a tent here and then just, spend some quality time by the lake here. Ah, beautifulness. Oh, you're back from a run. Brian, so Nate, sorry, we just made a game. So this is the game, and this is my mate. This is my mate Kevin here, and he's going to spend the night by the lake. This is great, and it's going to go live on Steam. I think Wednesday 9 a.m. for $40. There's not much you can do in the game yet, other than just walk around. But hey, it looks pretty. Other games don't look pretty, and you can do a lot. And they also charge £40, so it's maybe I'll hold off on the Steam release of this one. But sweet, isn't it? I mean, wow. Oh, yeah, one thing that they haven't implemented yet in this animation sample project is the foot IK for 2 different feet. So that comes in the next update, I believe. So in the regular third-person template, you can put 1 foot up on a ledge, and then you'll see that one knee is bent and the other one isn't. And this is not part of this project just yet. Now Kevin can go and spend the night. Or also, very exciting, if we wanted Mrs. Chow to be in here. How do we do that again? That is in here, GM Sandbox. Instead of Kevin, we can go use Mrs. Chow. That is funky. Hey, Mrs. Chow, we're just going to compile your head shader. Then, you know, you can take a stroll in the woods here. That's cool. Mrs. Chow HD. Going for a swim. Very, very cool. Mrs. Chow, she's got it going on. Oh, Mrs. Chow's also hovering. Yeah, I need to look into that. That's something, if we can go and fix that in the retargeter instead of the capsule, that would be insanely good. Yeah, currently she's just floating up the stairs here a little bit. But still, for a couple of clicks to get these characters in, that's pretty cool. Also, she walks like a man, so yeah, maybe there'll be... I don't know if there is a way to make these animations female. Like in the third-person character template, there are male and female animations. What do you got there? This is the tax return, is it? Okay. Even got the same typewriter from Firewatch. That was also a green typewriter. And a camera. That is pretty cool. Steak for dinner. Wow, that is insane. Steak. That reminds me, I'm getting a bit hungry. Well, hey, I think we've achieved incredible things. Whoa! And Mrs. Chow doesn't mind. She likes jumping from high heights multiple times with multiple animations. She's okay with that. There, she goes for a morning swim. She always likes that little river run here. Whoops. Oh, that looked like she was swimming there. If I knew how to do that, I would totally put swimming animations in here. Maybe we can work it out, even if it's just, you know, just swim hover. Again, I've tried it once. It was over my head. Maybe it's easier today. Who knows? Motion match swimming animations. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This was exciting. I have to say, this was a lot of fun. I'm glad we could do this together, because it's one of those things that's just insane when you see this coming together, and it's getting easier to do this. And you still need to do it. You need to know a ton of stuff to make this happen. But hey, we've done it in under 2 hours, from not knowing how to retarget things from Reallusion to Unreal Engine, and I've even made it possible to get a HD DAS character into Reallusion first, and then from there into Unreal Engine. That's like mind blown. Thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful rest of Sunday. That was fun, wasn't it? That was seriously fun. Man, I should do these more often. This is great. More 3D shenanigans coming up soon. Take care, my friends, and have a great Father's Day. Bye-bye.